Welcome to the Wyoming State Library Database of the Month, Finding the Bard and GoWild.net, Literature Online. Literature Online, or LION, provides scholars and students with texts, criticism, and reference tools to access and uncover thousands of works of poetry, prose, and drama from the 8th to the 21st century. We'll begin here at GoWild.net, and I'm going to select literature from the subject areas. Here you'll find several wonderful tools for research of literature, but we're going to select literature online. On the page, you'll see tabs at the top that are the same as the information in the middle. You can search authors, texts, criticism, and reference works. There's also a search box, and below the tabs there, a featured work. It could be a featured author or featured poem. The last tab at the top is About. This will give you a little more information about literature online, including that it's 355,000 literary works. There's a complete contents page. There's a What's New page. There's also about scholarly resources, what's included, and a great FAQ on how literature online can support student study. At the far top, far right, there's the Help button, and this is subject specific, so no matter what page you're on, it will come up with the help appropriate to that page. Since we're on the home page, you'll see that it's giving us information on finding our way around this page, doing a quick search, types of searches, and showcasing the content here. At the very bottom of the page, there's a link to Chadwick Healy Literature Collections. This will give you access to even more collections, including African American poetry, Canadian poetry, English drama, and at the very bottom you'll see included is the editions and adaptations of Shakespeare. It gives you a help page and just some basic searching boxes, but notice here you can search under search options. You can search specific to the plays or the songs, stage instructions, for example. To the right of that title, you'll see there's a little information, and this gives you a little more information about these adaptations of Shakespeare. I can go back to Literature Online right there with the link at the top left. So let's begin with an author search. Of course, I can type it in the search box, use the link here, or use the link at the top. I get a drop-down menu where I can search authors and get a search page, or I can browse authors. Given the size of this database, you'll see that there's a huge amount of authors listed. So if I go looking for Shakespeare, you'll see that I have a huge, huge list. So I'm going to go back up here and just type in Shakespeare. And on my results page, what I'm looking for, of course, is the author page. And I'm going to select William Shakespeare. On the author page, you'll get dates of birth and death, gender, literary periods that are represented, nationalities, and then the resources for William Shakespeare, including text, criticism, reference, and other resources, which include Poets on Screen and Shakespeare audio plays, which we'll look at the end of this. I want to start with the biography here under reference. This is a very extensive biography. You'll notice that you can get the citation information as well as view a bibliography right here from the biography. At the top, you'll see that I can save it, email it, print it or export and save this. You can also get a link to this page if you're using it in a presentation. Within this information on William Shakespeare in this biography, of course it lists many of his works and when they happened. Because it's such a long piece, you may want to use the Control F and type in, for example, Romeo, and you'll see that it's 19 places within this biography, and it leaps down to the very first one listed, which gives you some information about when it was written, around which other plays, talking about language that goes on within these different plays. On the bottom right, I get to go back to the top button, and we're going to go back to the author page just by clicking on his name. Under the text, you can view text by this author or search within text. This automatically populates the author with William Shakespeare. I can search keywords, title keywords, publication, genre, and other options down here, and we'll look at those in a second. On the right-hand side of each one of the boxes, you'll notice that it gives you a lookup. So next to title keywords, I can look up title keywords, and it will give me an extensive numerical and alphabetic list. I can also do a quick search to find it on the list, and then it will populate my search. I can do the same thing for genre, whether in poetry or drama. And I'll scroll down under nationality. Again, I can look up nationality, ethnicity, literary movement, and literary period. And I can check one of these and add it to my search by clicking on the box. The other thing to notice on these search pages, on the left of those boxes are the little I for information. This pops up a window giving you the scope notes, either about nationality or ethnicity. So it's giving you what they're using, what the scope is, and the definitions of those. The other thing you'll notice at the top, which is especially important doing Shakespearean era searching, and that's the variant spellings and variant forms. Literature Online features the first authorized edition of any given literary work and preserves the spelling and punctuation of the copy text. The spelling of some of the words has changed, and that a modern spelling search term will not in itself be adequate to retrieve all the relevant results from historical texts. Literature Online provides a variant spellings checkbox. If you enter a modern English word in the keywords in text box and check the variant spellings, you will automatically retrieve all instances of your search term. For example, let's search for love, and I'm going to do variant spellings, and we'll launch our search. So now you can see as we scroll down, of course, there's love, and then you'll see the L-O-U-E, because the U and V were often used. I'm going to go back to my search, and now I'm going to also check variant forms. Variant forms allows users to lematize their search terms. So this means that for love, we'll get loves, loved, loving, all in the same search if I do variant forms. So now we have variant spellings and variant forms. So it's brought my variant spellings in back because we already did that search. Now I'll launch it again. And on our results list now, as we scroll down, we'll see also the variant forms as well as variant spellings. So there I have loved, loving, L-O-U-I-N-G, L-O-U-E for love. So that opens up what you're going to find with these old spellings. I'm going to go back to the author page, and let's take a look at the criticism link Here you'll see various items of criticism. I'm going to scroll down a little bit. Various authors, various publications. So you get the full criticism in these journals. You can also take a look at it in full-text PDF. I'm going to go back to the home page. We've looked at the author tab. I'm going to skip text for now and go to the criticism tab. We've already looked at some criticism for Shakespeare's works from his author's page, so I'm going to do a couple other searches and browsing here. I'm going to search all criticism to start. And notice I can do author or reviewer. So notice that now we have all of these by the reviewer, Marin Sorescu, and there's one he's done on Shakespeare, which happens to be a poem. I'm going to come back and click on the Help button, and notice it is subject specific, page specific. They include the Annual Bibliography of English Language and Literature, and there's MLA International Bibliography in here as well. Also included here on the criticism list are the Cambridge Companions to Literature. These are essays introducing major writers, artists, philosophers, topics, and time periods. If I click on the Help now, you'll see that it gives me some information about the Cambridge Companions to Literature. You'll notice we've got them on Keats and Mary Shelley and Mark Twain, also on modernism and modernist poets. You'll see that there are several on Shakespeare, Shakespeare and popular culture, on film, on stage, the last plays, poetry, comedy, and tragedy. When we open one of those up, you'll see all the various articles and given their page numbers and their authors. Back to the home page, I'm going to open the reference tab. We can search all the reference, but we can also take a look at the reference works and browse through them. So we've got Oxford Dictionary of Literary Terms, Handbook of African American Literature, a great variety, but at the very bottom you'll see that there's one called a Shakespeare Glossary. Here we can browse alphabetically. For example, I'm going to click on E and ear bussing, and you'll see that it's listing its citation information. It's whispered, the speaker's lips touching the hearer's ear, and you can find it in King Lear in this part of the play. I'm going to go to F, and you'll see that it's a very, very long list. So I'm going to use our Control F again. So if you've come across a term when you're reading Shakespeare or listening to it, you can type it in. So for example, frippery, it actually means a shop where old clothes are sold, and it's from and used in The Tempest. Back up at our reference tab, you'll also find biographies and bibliographies. Remember that we were able to access them specifically from an author page, or we can do from the main page and get, once again, the alphabetic listing. When you go into the reference items for each one of these authors, you'll get a basic reference citation. For example, Meg Cabot was in Princess Diaries. You're going to have living and deceased. Also, the bibliographies. We saw a bit of one for Shakespeare, but I didn't pause very long, so let's take a look at one of the bibliographies available to let you know when it was published. Get citation information. Once again, like we saw with the Shakespeare, we can go from the bibliography to the biography and back. All of these can be emailed, printed, exported. And you'll see you have various options for the export. And again, the link to this page so that you could come straight back to this document. A wonderful resource found online, as well as in the students' version, ProQuest Learning Literature, are the knowledge notes. These knowledge notes are student guides to works of literature. They're great for students, they're great for book clubs, book talking. So let's go into one. I'm going to go to Shakespeare. And you'll see under Shakespeare that we have all of his plays. And I'm going to open Much Ado About Nothing. So what a great way, if you're trying to read Shakespeare, sharing it with a student, teaching it in a class, doing it for your book club or for your own enjoyment, to take a look at one of these student guides that gives you an overview and about the author, characters, summary, plot, style, themes, and then a highlight from each one of the acts and scenes. So you can go to a list of characters. We might want to print that out and have it while you're reading the play, so you know who those people are. It gives you a summary of the plot, the style. It's a standard 5-act Shakespearean play, each act having between 2 and 5 scenes, and then it talks about how it was written. There are themes and motifs listed: love versus friendship, loyalty and betrayal, and then you get to highlights. There are these 4 highlighted items. So we get to Act 1, Scene 1. There's your take-home point, a theme alert, quote, going through each one of the acts and scenes. I'm going to go back to the text tab now. Here you'll find that you can search all text, just the poetry, the drama, and the prose. You can browse all text, browse through some major anthologies, for example, songs and sonnets. And here is a great example of why you would use the variant spellings. We're going to go back to text, and now I'm going to search just poetry. I'm going to click on variant spellings. I'm going to come down and add a literary movement. And I'm going to add the Elizabethan novel, and now I'm going to add that to my search. So notice at the top, because I did variant spellings, there's all the variant spellings of the keyword I've searched for in this poem. It's telling me what literary movement I searched, and then here's the results of my search. This last one we're going to look at is my favorite, and that's the video and audio. Under the video and audio, you have Poets on Screen, Shakespeare audio plays, and Poetry Archive audio. We'll begin here with Poets on Screen, where you'll notice there's over 870 poems in this collection. You can browse them alphabetically by author or the reader, or browse by poem title. Notice that it will show you if the author is reading their own work or reading other poets' work, including specifically those who are no longer living. So I'm going to pick Shakespeare, and of course read by other poets, and this tells you who they're read by, how long they are. So here's some of his sonnets.
Sonnet Number 73 by William Shakespeare. That time of year thou mayest in me behold, when yellow leaves are none or few, do hang upon those boughs which shake against the cold. Bare ruined choirs relate the sweet birds sang.
You'll see that you can also link right to the author page, so we can go to Shakespeare. I can also look at the full text of this sonnet. I'm going to go back to the video and audio, and now we're going to look at the Shakespeare audio plays. These are fully dramatized, unabridged audio recording of all 38 plays. It gives you some information here at the top. It lets you know that each play was recorded by noted actors, and it gives you some examples of the names. Sir John Gielgud, for example, Joseph Fiennes. Let's go down here to the Merchant of Venice. And here it gives us a link to the author page, again to full text, and here is the Merchant of Venice by act and by scene. I'm going to jump to Act 4, Scene 1. So I'm going to scroll down, and we're going to go to Act 4, Scene 1, for example.
What, is Antonio here?
Ready, so please your grace.
I'm sorry for thee. Thou art come to answer a stony adversary, an inhuman wretch, incapable of pity, void and empty from any dram of mercy.
I have heard your grace hath taken great pains to qualify his rigorous cause.
What a wonderful way to be able to see the text and hear this being presented. ProQuest has a LibGuide. They have a whole suite of ProQuest LibGuides, and one is on Literature Online. This will be useful to take a look at. There's search tips, searchable fields, and then browsing the author's criticism, reference, things like that. You'll also see some sample searches. On the right, you'll see that you can go to some of the recorded sessions or see if there's a live one coming up. On the Wyoming State Library page, if you go to Services and Training, you'll see that there's Marketing Support, Marketing Resources. Under Go Wild, there's a great flyer that you can print out and use publicizing this, or if you're doing some programming in April for Shakespeare's birthday. Also on this page, here are monthly marketing campaigns, and the April one is on Shakespeare. So another poster that you'll be able to use and print, and an email to send out to your patrons. As you can see, Literature Online is a huge, wonderful resource for not only researching Shakespeare, but all sorts of authors and texts and reference items. I hope you'll get a chance to take a look at this one. If you're working more with middle school, high school kids, the middle school, take a look at ProQuest Learning Literature, and it will have many of these same features but geared towards that middle school student. Thanks for joining in. Bye now.